Presentation. So my name is Rami Zahran. I have been working at the Cleveland Clinic Abu Dhabi for the last 5 years, where I serve as a senior marketing manager. I look after the corporate marketing of the organization as well as the digital marketing. Um, I have had a big focus on digital over the last couple of years, where we've seen a lot of results. And I'll be speaking not just about digital, but in general about marketing and the type of content that we've been producing and how we produce it. I'll be talking about integrated marketing campaigns and how you can measure the return on marketing investment for those campaigns. And please feel free to ask questions along the way if you have any. I'll try and answer them as I go along. So before I start, I just wanted to take you through what the Cleveland Clinic Abu Dhabi is, so that to give you some context as to some of the work that you'll see in the next few slides. The Cleveland Clinic Abu Dhabi is a multi-specialty hospital that is a partnership between the government of Abu Dhabi through a company called Mubadala, and they partnered up with the Cleveland Clinic in the US to bring together this beautiful hospital that I believe can everyone see it? So as I scroll, is that something that is scrolling down? Are you all able to see the visual of the? Great, thank you, Vijay and Sahil. Great. Okay, so that's where I've been working. That's the context of the presentation. The next thing I wanted to take you through is the idea of integrated marketing campaigns. And basically, to create an integrated marketing campaign, you don't do it overnight. You don't create a piece of content right away. You don't develop something and have it immediately displayed the next day on TV, print, or digital. There's a process, and that's where I'm going to speak to you through the process, where it begins with content creation. Then there's the actual execution in the middle somewhere, and eventually you have that sort of out there, published, and then you want to calculate some results. And that's the process that I'm going to take you through today. But first, I wanted to start off with really just digging into a little bit what is content. And I mean, a lot of people have different definitions for it, and if anybody has their own definition, I'd love to see what that is. But the Content Marketing Institute defines content marketing as a strategic marketing approach focused on creating and distributing valuable, relevant, consistent content to attract and retain a clearly defined audience, and ultimately to drive profitable customer action. Now, that's quite a mouthful. There's a lot of detail there, but it actually doesn't tell you what content is. It tells you what content marketing is. So I found the definition online that I quite like, that content is engaging, relevant, reliable, interesting, entertaining, or enlightening material in the form of text, image, video, or audio. So that can mean that content can be anything, really. It could be a piece of video, it could be a piece of mobile ad, it could be a piece in the newspaper, it could be a website, it could be a lot of things. And that's where I wanted to start, is to define what content could be. Next, really, one of the things that I want everybody to think about is that content should not just be developed for the sake of creating content. If you're creating content for the sake of creating content, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your audience's time, you're wasting your company's resources, you're wasting your own resources. Do not create content for the sake of content. Content should be objectives-based. It should be something that you can track and measure. And I'll speak about a checklist that you can potentially put. But I wanted to give you some examples of what objectives you could set aside before you develop content or an integrated marketing campaign. For me, one of my objectives as a hospital is to create brand awareness. I think this is across any industry, any marketer, brand awareness will be one of their objectives. But I also have to highlight physician profiles. For many people, it will be to highlight their product offering or their service offering. I have to highlight clinical service offerings, recruitment. That will be a big one for a lot of organizations. And ultimately for us, driving appointments is one of the ultimate goals that we set. And that will be for a lot of you as well, setting goals that are based on increasing purchases or increasing sales, acquisition. That will be an objective I'm sure a lot of you will have. So that one is a common one. So once you've set those objectives, create a checklist. Before you decide to do a campaign or any piece of content, create a checklist. See what it is that you're creating. What are you doing? Is it aligned to an objective? Can you clearly measure the success of it? Because you want to be able to see at the end of this campaign Was there any measurable success out of it? What did it provide for you? You also want to take this to your leadership to tell them what it is that your campaign achieved. Is it relevant to your, does it add any value to your audience? A lot of people, again, create content for the sake of creating content. They create campaigns for the sake of creating campaigns. And they add these campaigns, this piece of content adds very little value to anybody, which means that a lot of people are seeing your name, you're seeing your content, but they're walking off with nothing that is of any substantial value, and then therefore they're associating your brand in a negative way. So you want to be associated in a positive way with something that adds value to your target, your audience. As well, ensure to be relevant to your target audience. So make sure that if you're talking about, if you are a brand that is more for an age group that is a little bit, let's say 40 plus, you don't want to be using content that is more towards teenagers. So be relevant to them. The other thing I would say is make sure you're authentic and consistent with your brand. Do not try and be somebody you're not as a brand, as an organization. A lot of people try and jump onto trends that are happening, real-time marketing trends, and they think that they're trying to be funny, but as a brand, they've never been funny, and that could cause a massive backlash. So just always ensure that your content is authentic to you as a brand. If you've always been serious, you cannot overnight just develop a funny persona, if you will. You need to maintain that seriousness of your brand. And finally, and the previous presenter before me spoke about this, is make sure your content is visually appealing. Make sure that there is sufficient enough resources have gone into creating something that looks nice, that people would look at and associate positively with your brand. Poorly created content can create negative association with your brand. So this is now the process of creating content, the way you structure it. I want to give you now. I want to go into the integrated marketing approach, and I want to give you a few examples of what we've done to create an integrated marketing campaign, and then I want to talk about how you can track return on marketing investment. So the process of creating integrated marketing campaigns is it needs to be holistic. So if you truly want an integrated marketing campaign, you have to assess every single point that you have in an integrated marketing campaign ecosystem. You may not necessarily activate every single one of them. You cannot force every single one, but you definitely want to ensure that you've covered as many areas as possible, and that will allow your brand to have a consistent message across every single touch point. So digital is always, I always see and find that there's a way using digital. There isn't always necessarily a way with radio or out-of-home advertising. Sometimes you will be limited there. But try and use as many tools that you have available to you as a marketer. And we have had several case studies that I wanted to share with you, integrated marketing campaigns that have produced amazing results. So very recently, we ran a campaign called #MSPerceptions, which could also be read as misperceptions. MS stands for multiple sclerosis. So we ran a campaign to sort of clear the air on some of the misconceptions people have on multiple sclerosis and what it means to you living with multiple sclerosis. So we created blog content, we created social media posts, we created PR stories in media that we ran, a full integrated campaign which really got people listening. We created video content, we had physicians talking about MS, and it really created a holistic campaign that people were paying attention to. We also, during World Heart Day, which is around September 29th, we ran a campaign leading up to September 29th, where we had a number of different marketing campaigns that we ran. We created, I think it was 12 pieces of blog content on heart content. The World Heart Day really revolves around driving more awareness towards heart-related issues to try and reduce the chance of cardiovascular disease. So we produced blog content. We produced a number of different pieces of collateral that we put in a pack and called it the Love Your Heart Health Pack. So it had heart recipes, it had exercises, it even had a waistband that you could measure your waistband to see how risk were you of how much risk you were of developing cardiovascular disease, and it would help you track along the months how much better you were doing to be able to reduce your risk. We ran a lot of PR stories. We ran conducted health surveys. We did a massive large-scale event at a very large stadium here in Abu Dhabi where we had people have the opportunity to cycle around the track. I'm getting a question on PR stories. Is that correct? Is somebody asking me about which are good PR stories? A great PR story we ran was we actually went and interviewed people in the community in the United Arab Emirates and in Kuwait, and we asked them to give us their sort of thoughts and their input on cardiovascular disease and heart disease. Questions that hadn't been really publicly asked. You know, are you worried about the possibility of cardiovascular disease, of developing cardiovascular disease? Do you know what cardiovascular disease is, etc.? And that produced content for us, those results. So we ran those in PR, in traditional PR. And obviously those go on our website as well. I hope that answers the question. Thank you. Um, so the next part I wanted to talk about was return on marketing investment. And a lot of people do ask, well, why do I need to track my return on marketing investment? How do I even go about it? Well, the first thing I would say to the reason you need to be tracking return on marketing investment, and I refer to it as return on marketing investment. I don't refer to it as return on investment. For me, return on investment includes overhead costs, the cost of staff, salary, whereas return on marketing investment is purely how much marketing did you spend and how much gross revenue did you generate from that, or how, depending on your objectives, what it is that you were trying to achieve. So it's however money you've spent directly on marketing and not necessarily including overhead costs. So to be able to track KPIs, the reason you should be tracking KPIs, sorry, is one, you need to be able to measure the success of your campaign. I spoke about this earlier. You need to be able to go back and tell your leadership, your organization, I spent this much money and I was able to generate this much results. Otherwise, it becomes more challenging over time to get the budget that you need to be able to do this, because a lot of people question, well, what did I get out of what you've spent so far? The other thing you could do is utilize KPIs to optimize your campaign. So if you do a number of different tracking through as your campaign is live, let's say A/B testing, you can optimize content that is producing better results. And finally, you'll be able to allocate your budget more appropriately. As I said earlier, you'll be able to ask for more budget for certain marketing campaigns that work well and that the organization knows will provide you results. And you'll be able to, in the future, your own budget, be more granular and know where you're going to spend more money depending on what provides you best results. Um, but not everything is about how much money revenue you generate. It really depends. If you look back at the conversion funnel, which I'm hoping everyone here is aware of, it really depends on what it is you're trying to achieve within the conversion funnel. So if you're trying to generate awareness, you may not necessarily look at the bottom line, how much money you've generated, but you'll look at how many impressions, how much reach, how much search volumes that you now have for your brand that you're able to generate. If you're looking somewhere in the middle of the funnel, looking at interest and consideration, how much engagement, how many people are clicking through to your ads, how many people are attending your events if it's an event, and then when it comes to conversion, then you can look at how many calls were generated, how many forms were submitted, or eventually how much revenue was actually generated. So somebody's asking me about what is a normal marketing budget. Uh, just for the university, I'm okay to answer questions as we go along. Um, that is that is fine with me. Um, so I have two questions actually. One is a how much budget for a startup? Very difficult question because obviously startups.
I'm not a startup even. I want to think from that point of view. You might be assisting to the startups, the established firms, but here is the case where from where I'm standing, I see a lot of the people who are trying to set up their business in the lowest cost. you know, the people who have just no funding
Yeah,
or want to spread their business with the least cost and invest ready to invest the time. Okay, so this is the case. Why? Because the way you are, you connect to those kind of people. So I have many people connected to me who have this question. I want to market myself. What is the easiest way? How to do that? So I just thought to ask you, because when you are helping big firms, so this should be something that can, the answer from you will be very helpful to me.
sure. So if people do as it is already have a small budget, so they're not even deciding their budget, but they have a small budget, which was the case for me when I first joined. From a digital perspective, I didn't have a budget. So where I first started was social media. I don't know what industry you're referring to specifically, but social media provides you it really does a platform for a zero budget spend. It allows you to be able to create some interaction with potential customers. It allows you to get your name out there. It allows you some level of awareness, and it allows you to constantly be active. Of course, eventually you want to mature a little bit and start spending, do some social media advertising. PPC, Google offers a fantastic and cost-effective um, alternative as well to be able to advertise. Obviously, if these are at startup level or individual, I wouldn't really then recommend spending on large scale mass marketing media, TV, print, and I would start with digital advertising, social media advertising.
So, if I ask you,
So any
how
methods?
do we
Yeah, go ahead.
find the niche people without investment on social media? I mean, what is the good way to do it? I mean, I know some of them, but maybe I can learn new things. That is what I am keen about, because in India, I tell you the people's perspective. They keep a person for Facebook marketing, okay? They hire a person for Facebook marketing to post and handle their page, to handle their
Mm-hmm.
profile, and they want
Mm-hmm.
clients. This is their question. They are paying around 20,000 INR, and they want clients. They want business to boom in 3 months. This is actually a situation of the market. I'm talking about the firms who are,
Mm.
slowly trying to do R&D in the digital world. This is a real case I'm asking, telling you, and sharing you of one of the person who has just joined a
Mm-hmm.
firm, and the owner is on the head asking results in 3 months. So that person is just having Facebook in hand, no other tool, no
Yeah.
money given except the salary if it has to be spent.
Yeah,
So in
yeah,
that
yeah.
case,
No, this is a very difficult challenge. Yeah. Yeah, go on.
okay.
Sorry, were you gonna finish that
Yeah,
thought
I'm
off?
done. I'm just waiting from you.
Okay. Yeah, so it is a very challenging case, particularly if the expectation is to drive results. I think before you drive results, then what you need to do is educate. Sessions like these, like where we're having, where you take them back into and tell them, show them this funnel and tell them, I'm not going to be able to generate conversions for you from day one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to develop a relationship with our potential customers through this funnel where I'm going to first develop some level of
Right.
awareness, then drive them down, create some interest, consideration, and eventually convert them, which gives me a longer lead time. You cannot expect it over 3 months. So there's a big education piece that you need to take your clients and customers through to be able to be more understanding that you cannot give them results
Yeah,
overnight.
that's true. This is the biggest challenge that people who are the entrepreneurs who are the regular earning in crores, their turnover is in crores. But when it comes to digital marketing, they have this thing that the people are looting them also, on the name of the agencies. That's why,
So they're
yeah, that's
skeptical
why they've
of
already
what
spent
agencies are doing.
a lot of money. People say that you will be on first page of PPC, I mean the Google, but results does not come on just coming the first page. We all know that. You have to be on the top three.
Yeah, I think there's a big
Yeah, that's the
education.
main thing.
There's a big education piece because there's very big promises. I've received as a client, I've received emails from people who claim that I will work on your SEO strategy and within a month I will give you um, top search
Right.
top rank on Google. Of course, this is an unrealistic promise, and people and customers need to be educated on what we can actually offer. And if anybody out there does the practice of over promising, I would suggest that for the benefit of all us marketers that that is
Yes.
not that should not be done.
Thank you.
All right, you're most welcome. I do believe I had another question from uh, Relo Relobil. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Um, how does the strategy assist the facility in quality service provision? Or from Tawfiq as well. We have a question from Tawfiq. I tell you what, can I, because these questions seem to go a little bit to be discussed, I'll finish the presentation so that there's enough time to finish the presentation. I'll take however many questions we have time for. Is that okay? Great. So I was just going to show you. So I spoke about the conversion funnel, and we did a number of campaigns. We obviously we did some display advertising. That really the objective was to drive awareness. We did some. Sorry, I'm having okay. We did some search engine marketing. So we invested quite a bit. And again, back to Shipra's question, we did this over a year and a half to finally start seeing ourselves ranked very highly. We did a lot of social media content, all types of content, talking about what minimally invasive heart surgery is. We did healthy heart recipes. We did a number of things to really drive the association of us as a brand and as with the association that we are not just a healthcare provider or a hospital, but also somebody who's providing you with a wealth of knowledge for you to live a healthier lifestyle. So we're your healthcare partner, somebody you can trust. We invested heavily in video marketing, so we did a lot of fantastic, great content. I ask you to go to our YouTube page if you want to see examples of that. And that all helped us achieve some phenomenal results. And this is now back to the return on marketing investment. All those pieces of content and campaigns were more to do with brand awareness. So the results are those that match up to brand awareness in that conversion funnel. So we became the number one most followed hospital in the Middle East and North Africa region. Um, on LinkedIn, I believe. We increased our website visits by almost 200%. On our videos, we saw almost 4 million video views, or sorry, over 4 million video views, and we have over 650,000 followers across all our social media platforms. And that was as a result of all those activities that I've spoken about previously. So I just wanted to wrap all of this together. Some of the things that you should be doing for integrated marketing campaigns is to create content based on objectives, align it to a target, ensure it's measurable, so have a goal that you want to track against, and create the checklist that I ran you through earlier. Don't create content for the sake of creating content. Don't create content that does not add value to your customers. Don't be irrelevant to your brand, and don't create visually unappealing content. And as a result, you'll see some fantastically engaging campaigns. You'll be able to allocate your budget appropriately. You'll be able to link volumes to your marketing activities, which is great because you'll be able to report that to leadership and get yourself hopefully more budget. And you'll be able to eventually enhance your customers' experience with you through creating content and material and campaigns that's more relevant to them and that adds value to them. We created a piece of content that somebody responded to and said, "Thank you for this piece of content." It was a content on stroke and what to do in the case of a stroke. And somebody responded and said, "Thank you for that piece of content. This content saved my grandmother's life." And that for me is more valuable than absolutely anything. Working in healthcare, you get this opportunity to make a difference to people's lives and to actually have somebody say, "Thank you for this one piece of content specifically. It saved a life." That is the ultimate reward to be able to enhance the patient experience that way, or in your case, hopefully to be able to enhance your customers' experiences in whatever field you're in. Um, so now I'll be happy to take questions because I believe that was the last slide that I had. So I ask ask you to send me your question or to do it through voice, and I'll be happy to have that discussion with you.
Thank you for your fabulous presentation. I request the participant, if you have any queries, you can post the questions, or else you can raise the hand. It is an awesome presentation.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rami, for your wonderful and fabulous presentation. I thanks all the participants for posting the questions.
I believe that somebody's typing. I think Tawfiq has a question.
We have enabled the mic for the Tawfiq. Please be ready. The next presenter is Tawfiq.
Have shared Tawfiq, we have given you enabled the microphone for you, so you can put your questions to Mr. Rami. You can speak.
Okay, Tawfiq prefers to type. He prefers to type.
Okay.
I'll be happy to answer a typed question. I hope you feel better, Tawfiq. I do apologize as I have to leave very soon, as I have a scheduled departure to have to travel.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rami, for your wonderful and fabulous presentation. You can note down the questions. Later on, we can have a small discussion. Or else you can share your views on it over mail.
Sure.
Sure.
So would you be able to share all the questions with me, or shall I write all of these down, or how?
Over chat.
Sorry, I don't think I quite got that.
Share your contact details over chat so that Tawfiq can.
All right, I'll write that down. It's actually I'll write it on the chat, and it's, I believe, on my first slide. Here you go. That's my email there, but I will type it here as well.
Okay, you can put in the chat so that all the audience, all the participants can utilize this email ID so that you can speak to Mr. Rami later on, because he have next schedule. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you so much, Mr. Rami, for your wonderful and fabulous presentation.
It's absolutely my pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and thank you for inviting me to speak at this online conference. Thank you.
Thank you.